we've seen that the commemoration of the 8th anniversary of the Marikana massacre will be held in Midrand this year. It's due to COVID-19 regulations. It is the first time the day will not be observed at the scene of the killings, where 34 miners died. Now, the Association for Mine Workers and Construction Union is hosting the event, and Newzroom Afrika's Mnisi is on a bus that is headed to Johannesburg and now joins us live. Linda, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. I mean, it's the first of its kind since the tragedy 8 years ago. And as we keep mentioning, many families still seeking justice, compensation at large. But ultimately, before we delve into the finer details, I mean, what does the event, the commemoration events look like this year due to COVID-19 restrictions at these unprecedented times?
Well, a very good morning to you, Liesl. Indeed, those commemorations will not happen as usual. What we're seeing this morning is a completely different picture from what would be happening. I mean, already by yesterday, a tent would have been set up at the Kopi to mark the anniversary of this tragedy. But what we've seen is very little movement here in this town. In fact, the bus behind me has been going around the mining town collecting some of the widows and some of the mine workers who will be in Johannesburg this morning for the commemorations. It's a first of its kind, like you say. It's the first time that it will be commemorated out of this particular town. I mean, we've never seen something like this before, but we'll get a sense then from the widows how they feel about this particular day. Yesterday, when we spoke to some of the union members, they told us that this would not be happening here in this town and that details would be communicated later, giving you perhaps an indication of how difficult COVID-19 has made life here in this particular town. But I've got with me one widow, Nungu. Mama, thank you so much for your time. I mean, it's the first time that abayeni benu bangeke bakhunjulelwe la basoleke khona. Kuwe kuthini lokho, uzizwa kanjani?
Kubuhlungu ngoba kaloku asikho kulaa ndawo bawela kuyo. Kubuhlungu kakhulu xa asinandlela esinenza ngayo.
But niya understanda isimo banichazele.
Siya understanda isimo esiphansi kwaso.
Umongameli mama uthethile izolo, and we've heard Nimbizo ukuthi aze azoxolisa. Maybe kube nabantu ababoshwayo ngalesigameko, but akazange asho nix. Lokho kuniphathe kanjani?
Hayi kaloku umongameli uthethile izolo qani mazi uthethe wathini. So kaloku into yaseMarikana kayibali kokuyibala. Ukuza kuthi uthetha njengomlomo marakada eze kuthi. Siyazi ukuthi ukuza kuthi kunzima. Uyasazi isizathu mhlawumbe yena esisixakileyo uthini ba wayengadeze kuthi.
Manje njengoba namhlanje nizokhumbula abayeni benu, yini mhlambe isicelo enizosenza kulonyaka?
Isicelo sisenza kuba
enizosenza mhlambe kumongameli o kunoma ubani mhlambe enifuna ukuthi akhumbule into eyayenzeka lapha?
Hayi, kuyafana ukwenza kwethu isicelo kumongameli ngoba akho nto adayenze. Unyaka we-8 lona senza isicelo sethu asiqhubeleki phambili, kuyafana. Akho sicelo sizosenza.
All right, there you have it, Liesl. That's one of the widows here this morning saying that they won't be making any plea. I mean, it's been a couple of years that they've been making pleas for the president to come and address them and perhaps, ask for forgiveness. Yesterday, we spoke to one widow who told us that she, in fact, wanted those who are responsible for her husband's murder to be brought to book. She says she's calling on the government to declare this day a public holiday, perhaps to highlight the plight of mine workers in South Africa. As you can see, more of those widows coming in as they will be heading, of course, to Johannesburg in this very same bus. So it's for the very first time that we'll be seeing something like this, really unprecedented, but of course in line with the COVID-19 regulations that still speak to a gathering of no more than 50 people. There will, of course, be those limited numbers of the people that will be attending those commemorations.
Linda, I mean, you've highlighted some of the concerns and even pleas from the women at large, the widows who still, are seeking justice and also compensation going forward. Now, as that bus seems to be filling, I sincerely hope COVID-19 regulations are being adhered to. I don't see masks. And I hope that you are safe. But you've mentioned some of the concerns from these survivors. And to move on to some of the progresses that have been made, some of the families who perhaps have been beneficiaries, since the Farnham Commission was established. But walk us through what Sibanya CEO Neil Froneman said in terms of that process, giving some of the families houses, just affording them dignity to perhaps move on, heal, and continue 8 years on after the tragedy.
Well, Lisa, yesterday we saw Sibanya Stillwater unveiling a wall of remembrance really at the entrance of one of the offices. It had all the names of the 44 people that died on that particular week. In fact, you'll remember that there was about 10 people that died before the 16th of August. So their names are also included there, but also speaking about the issue and the plight of survivors. Some of them say that there hasn't been much attention paid to them, given the fact that they survived, of course, this tragedy. We spoke to a gentleman yesterday who in fact detailed how much it still pains him to relive those memories. They visited the Kopi yesterday, saying that it really is a tough one to kind of remember that day and see that, not much has been done to really make sure that they too are compensated or receiving, even if it's an apology. Lizel, I'm just going to try to step out of the bus, hopefully to catch one of those survivors who'll give us a sense really of how things have been. They're basically saying that there has been really nothing that has been done to, numb the pain. And it really hurts them that 8 years later, there is no level of accountability.
Wait more of the survivors, the families coming through to go and pay their respects. Remember this day, this massacre 8 years on. I mean, ultimately, earlier on, you spoke about how the unprecedented times of COVID-19 pandemic has seen a shift in the way the commemoration will be held. But just looking at the program that is available in terms of who's set to attend and address the event, what does that look like in particular?
Well, at this point, Liesel, it's quite unclear, and the widows themselves are unclear as to what will happen when they get to Johannesburg. But they're hoping to hear from AMCU President Joseph Mathunjwa in terms of the message that he'll be delivering this year in commemoration of the Marikana massacre. Really, as you might have heard, there isn't much a call really that they're making, but it's really about just remembering their loved ones. I've got with me one of the survivors who'll give us a sense of what the call is this year. Thank you so much for Iskatsako Putwa. This year, once again, we're remembering the fallen heroes, but you were one of the people that got injured during that particular day. How do you feel knowing that you will not get to remember this tragedy at the Kopi?
Okokuqala singabantu abahlonipha umthetho wase South Africa, singabantu abayaziyo ukuba asikho ngaphezulu komgaqo seko wase South Africa. Kunento efuneka si-understand ukuthi upresident lo kanye wenza ingxaki ukuthi ungupresident and uthethile ukuba kumele kwenzeke nanizohlangana ningabikho more than 50. So niyayazi into ba nxa sizothe sizoya entabeni, into yasentabeni okokuqala into yokuqala kuba sikudala sathi makayibe lilanga leholiday alihloniphe ngoba lenziwe nguye, akakayenzi koyenza loo nto. Okwesibini sizothi nasizoya pha siyohlala kulanda kwesasikhumbuzo ngalendlela yena athanda ngayo, atsho athole le chance yakhe ayifunayo ngoba ikhona into ayifuna ukuyenza kuthi ebonakalayo ukuba sisenamatyala nangoku akusukela ango-2012 endicingayo kwangoku ukuba apha ezintliziyweni zomuntu oqondayo oyaziyo into uba funeka siwuhloniphe umthetho awubekileyo kodwa singayiyeki into esiyaziyo ukuba likamva sasilwela ikamva labantwana bethu nabazukulwana bethu abazoza ngemva besibazi uba sasifuna utshintsho elizosuka phakathi komntu ohluphekileyo kunye nomntu otyebileyo ukuze kulungiselelwe ukuba laa msantsa nalaa gap ibikade ikhona siyivale. Yiloo nto ke yadala uba side silimale sibe zizingcwelerha. Asizuyiyeka ke loo nto yokukhumbula amaqhawe sikhumbule elaa langa. Sizolikhumbula nangeyiphi indlela esizotsho utsho nabani na umntu abone ukuba sisamile sithi into esiyifunayo sifuna eli langa lifake emthethweni ibe yi-public holiday ilanga lange-16 and elaa langa le-workers day alitshintshi ibe lilona langa lanamhlanje yiyo li-workers day esiyaziyo yabasebenzi eyatshintsha impilo zabasebenzi.
Isibanye ivule ilitshe egeyidini ikhumbula laba abashonile. Nizizwa kanjani ngaloko because nithi nifuna ukuthi ikopi ibe yindawo yesikhumbuzo but bona bayenze egeyidini la?
Asithi kanje, ndifuna ukuxelela into eyi-1. Isibanye ifike kwi-Lonmin. I-Lonmin ama-capitalist, even usibanye ngama-capitalist banengqondo ye-capitalism. So ngokubeka la monument kule ndawo bayibeke kuyo thina singayaziyo singazi noba bekukho into eyenziweyo bayenza njengento engathi ngumuseum. Isafana nje nento yokuhlekisa ngegazi labasebenzi ukulungiselela ukuthi nabefikile abanye belungu kudlulwa apha kule ndlela kubona ukuthi hayi ingathi kunento abayenza ngempilo zethu kodwa betsho bexoka. If bebenenyaniso bebezoza kuthi nabo bathi sifuna ukwenza senze njani ukuze nathi sinikhombise ukuthi siyipati siyinxa yentliziyo yenu.
Our reporter Linda Mnisi is bringing us the latest with regards to the commemoration process that is happening. He was chatting to one of the survivors of the Marikana massacre. As we heard, 8 years on, many of the survivors and family members of the slain are still seeking justice and compensation. AMCU is in fact holding a commemoration ceremony which is set to take place throughout the day. Again, Newzroom Afrika will be bringing you the latest with regards to that.